When an Olympus-level threat comes for the lovable wall crawler and the merc with the mouth, they will need to join forces lest spill pools of blood. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 31, the grand finale of the Pools of Blood crossover, and find out what happens next together, shall we? Alrighty then, so picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Agent Gao, the former ex-cop, and regular thorn in the side of both Miles and Wade had returned, only this time she had been empowered by Ares, the god of war, rechristening herself Warcry. Now, a sane person might be scared by this turn of events, but not Deadpool though. In fact, he's over the moon. He only took that job to kill Spider-Man in the first place because he was hoping to get some super weapons, so that he could deal with the threat of his new villain Death Grip over in his own book, so now he can kill two birds with one stone, help Spider-Man show he's not a bad guy, and arm himself all at the same time. The only problem is actually getting the sword off Gao is much easier said than done. She's making great use of this brand new upgrade. And in fact, she's so powerful now, she's sending out energy blasts that are even causing Miles' brand new vibranium suit to buckle under the pressure. Gao on her own is bad enough, but Midas and Output have also rejoined the battle too, meaning that the Deadpools and the two Spider-Men all have to learn to fight in unison in a very short amount of time to try and push the bad guys back. Ellie ends up walking away with probably one of the funniest lines of the issue when she says, "Hey Output, I know we've been calling you a generic gun guy all crossover long, but the truth is you suck so much more than that and so much across the board." Deadpool thinks he's being clever by trying to get a backstab on Warcry, only to end up walking away with a broken neck in the process. His healing factor might be slowed, but it's still good enough to protect him in this situation and only allows him to walk away with a hilarious injury instead of a grievous injury. Miles is up next and he tries to up the ante by accessing that ascended form of spider power we saw him use in his last battle with the Rabble. In fact, this is the first time he's used this ability in a while, and in conjunction with his own vibranium suit no less. As far as dealing with the hired help though, that ends up going to Shift, who ends up walking away with probably the coolest scene of the entire crossover. You see Midas, whose powers we learned in the last issue involves her being able to manipulate the mass of everything she touches. She grabs Shift and threatens to break all the bones in his body by turning his skin super heavy. Only Shift Uno reverses her in the best way by saying, "Hey, I've been manipulating the mass of my own body since I was born." He also ends up taking on a whole Venom the Madness form that we've never seen before, one that's a lot more intimidating and a lot more monstrous. And here you thought only Miles got to have fun new forms. With her little helpers finally once and for all put on the shelf, the united forces of the two Deadpools and the two Spider-Men are able to rush Gao and start taking her apart piece by piece. Ellie and Shift give her a good roundhouse kick to the diaphragm, while Deadpool and Spider-Man end up getting their ultra cool hero shot for the crossover as they both deck her in the face. And as just a little extra icing on the cake too, they say when Deadpool and Spider-Man work together, there's no power on Earth that can stop them. Well, except for editorial mandates though, which is probably one of the most hilariously meta jokes in a crossover that's been filled with meta jokes, especially if you know the history of this book. Now once the fight turns against her, Gao ends up turning tail and run. All of our heroes take this opportunity to celebrate a job well done, and how while the relationship may have started off on rocky terms, they can officially say they're all friends now. Deadpool even says that if sales ever start to drop for this book, Miles is free to come visit him and Ellie in the Deadpool book. Now, while that might seem like the end of the story, we're not done yet. Cody Ziegler is sure to bring all of this for the arc full circle by finally letting Miles and Schiff have that very important brotherly conversation about what's next for Schiff. He enjoyed filling in for Miles and Spider-Man while they were gone away in Wakanda, but after getting a taste of Miles' life, Schiff officially wants a life of his own. He wants to go to school, he wants to be his own hero, and more importantly, he wants his own name, and he gets one. Henceforth, Shift shall be known as Jamie Morales, a nice reference to Miles' grandfather that he only found out about during his last trip to Puerto Rico in the annual story. Hey, bet you didn't think that would come back, did you? Oh, but wait, we're still not done. After that, we check back on in with Agent Gao, who returns to her Greek godly benefactor to lick her wounds and say that she needs more power if she ever hopes to defeat Spider-Man once and for all. Though you won't be surprised to learn after her failure, her war sugar daddy Ares doesn't want to pay up. Instead, though, he says that this turf war of the gods is only beginning and that he will find new heralds to help him in his battle against his most hated foe, Anansi, and his new champion, Miles. But wait, there's still more, because after that we actually check on in with Thor, god of thunder and king of Asgard, who comes to check out the wreckage of the battle with Warcry. He instantly recognizes Hephaestus's handiwork and starts to question Anansi's motivations for making Miles his champion. You see, Anansi couldn't actually help Spider-Man in that fight because of a bunch of old godly deals made. Likewise, Ares couldn't get directly involved in kicking off a war himself, so he had to work through other agents. Anansi swears up and down that he's a good guy, a storytelling god who's only trying to help Miles with valuable lessons, though Thor doesn't really believe that because, hey, he's got a long history with trickster gods lying to him. Though perhaps it's not Thor that Miles will have to deal with as the comic comes to a close, as they promise that Hercules will be stopping by in the next issue. And so that was Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 31, everybody, an issue that I ultimately enjoyed both on its own merits and as a finale to the Pools of Blood crossover, even if at times I felt it was a little uneven in places. Mainly the battle against Agent Gao was over pretty damn quick and ultimately wasn't all that impactful in the grander scheme of things, just, maybe for this book. Deadpool got his big super weapon, and that probably will end up playing a bigger part in the actual Deadpool story once we rejoin that. I will say I'm very pleasantly surprised just how much love and focus Shift is getting as a character. Not only does he get a new form in this issue, but he also gets a name and the promise that he too will be growing and changing and evolving as a character. I do love the brotherly relationship between Miles and Shift. It's something so wholesome, so unique, and something that is 100% of the comics. Ziegler might not have invented Shift as a character, but I think he really did manage to make him sing and make him feel like an important, indispensable part of Miles' universe. Furthermore, I know plenty of people who seem adverse to fun have been complaining that, oh, Miles has too many powers, he has too many costumes, why? Well, this issue pretty much seems to lay it out like never before. Miles has gotten all these amazing upgrades because the next arc is going to involve him, fighting gods. Something that I sure never thought I would end up seeing, but something I'm very excited to see play out, and this is before Miles will end up taking his trip to the Ultimate Universe also in the next little bit. Overall, though, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it does a lot right, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens next, both here and in the Deadpool book under Ziegler. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.